Welcome, everyone, to the Relentless Hope Studios. This is our very first podcast of a survivor interview, and our friend Sharri is joining us today. Sharri is a co-host of mine and a friend, and we just adore her. Relentless Hope, if you don't know, is a nonprofit organization in Salt Lake City. I'm the executive director, Cindy Metcalf, and we help those who have been trafficked and ritually abused with resources and support to help them heal. So, today we have Sharri. Like I said, she's a wonderful friend. She's been on the front lines educating survivors, supporting them. She has developed training, she writes songs, and her encouragement, faith, and wisdom is so appreciated. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and welcome Sharri. Sharri, thank you for coming on to the show.
Oh, thank you, Cindy, and thanks to Relentless Hope and everybody involved with Relentless Hope. It's such an honor to be here, and I feel so amazed that am at this place in my life where I'm an overcomer and Jesus has freed me and I'm healed, not just healing, I'm getting more just God help me to reclaim my life. And there is true freedom, but it wasn't always that way. I never thought I would get to this place.
Well, I love that you are brave enough to come out and tell exactly what happened to you. I appreciate your courage and willing to share because other survivors are going to see this and they're going to go, "Oh my gosh, that happened to me too." And look, she was able to get through it and get healing, so I can too. So,
Yeah, I was given that hope too. So that is my whole goal is to give that hope, the same hope I was given.
mhm.
And I used to do this for other survivors, that had come out, but then I realized there's survivors that are still in it and they know some of what's happened to them. And so then it's like my heart was like enlarged to then include them and children, that this is happening to daily and nightly. But I want to dedicate this podcast that's kind of a launching point for Relentless Hope and all the survivors out there and the children that are, like there's not a lot that we can do directly. Um, there's other organizations for that, for the children, but all the survivors out there, but specifically for there's a person, I'll say their name as Skylar and Rebecca. These are two survivors that they have my permission to. I dedicated the training module, Project Justice, to them, and they're still caught in all of this. But when they've talked to me, they have hope that they won't always be in it. And that's what I want to do is give people hope because there is hope. And his name is Jesus Christ.
Absolutely. Relentless Hope is a Christian organization. We recognized a long time ago that survivors need the hope of Christ. Even if you were abused in a church organization that used scripture against you, told you that Jesus didn't love you, or you were even raped by a man dressed as Jesus, we don't shove religion on people. However, we make it very clear that those who invite Jesus, the real Jesus, not the fake one that you were introduced to and were lied about, but the real Jesus loves you immensely and wants to heal you and wants to have a personal relationship with you. And we always say, and this is true, we've talked to hundreds of survivors, and the ones who invite Jesus into their healing journey heal so much faster and so much more thoroughly than those who don't. So take it or leave it, but that's what we've seen. And I'm so glad that Sharri feels the same way. So, Sharri, um, tell us a little bit about you. What are your hobbies, your interests? What kind of things do you work on too?
So now that I have so much healing, I can, I've written so many years, journaling and poetry and writing, just to express what was in here that sometimes I didn't even have words for, but some part of me did. And so I enjoy writing. I've been facilitating, and I'm a founding member of Dissociative Writers. It's an organization, dissociativewriters.com, that I've been teaching workshops of how to write, and it's all for people who have DID. And so that's kind of like this past year, I've actually started writing songs with some of my old writing, so that I was starting to hear in this music app that I use, I would hear the voices of me, like expressing themselves. And it's like it gave me so much more healing because then I was able to hear my whole self and then connect back to me, which is something that those of us who have had this ritual abuse and mind control not supposed to do. And I just wanted to touch on also, and then I'll get back to what I'm doing today. Um, I just wanted to also touch on the fact that I wasn't always able to just freely accept Jesus and go to God, um, but there was always that one part of me that knew the truth about God and Jesus, even if I couldn't like be alone in prayer with. I was afraid because some part of me, I was abused, like other survivors are, where they purposefully have people pose as Jesus and God. And we don't know as children that that's um, not real.
Right.
Um, but anyway, getting back to, I just wanted to express that because I had to allow all the parts of me to like kind of take a back seat to all of that till they could have the healing that I had had. But anyway, as far as what I do now, I love podcasting. I am a voice for the voiceless, and I speak out for those who can't speak for themselves. So I do a lot of writing of scripts, and I have a YouTube channel and I love speaking out and using my voice because I was silenced and my mom never listened to me. No one in my life, other up until the 90s, ever would listen to me. And so, anyway, I have written 7 albums that are out on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and different streaming platforms out there. And I've written about 400 or 500 songs um, that I have on that music app. And so anyway, it's just been neat to connect with the gifts that God put in me. I still want to do some painting because I am an artist. Um, in reclaiming my creativity, which is what is literally we're disconnected from on purpose. God has recently shown me how important it is that, He's our creator. He created us, and He created us to create. And all the gifts that we have and the talents that He created us with, they're ours. But these people that do this type of abuse, they disconnect us from that on purpose, and we can talk about that later. But my point is this, that when we reclaim ourselves and we can connect with the parts of us that know what happened to us, and we literally reclaim our emotions and our mind and our body and our soul, and Jesus helped me to take all of them back, then I was able to easily give that to him, as a surrender type thing, because abuse feels like a surrender, but it's like where you have to give up your whole self. And these people just do whatever they want to your mind and body and soul and emotions, and so it's a beautiful reclaiming. But the creativity that we have is the reason that we survived. Because you have to be pretty creative to create the natural creation of parts. I'm not talking about the the purposefully engineered shattering and fragmentation that these abusers do to our minds. That's purposefully engineered type of uh,
Mhm.
sh- like splitting of us so that then we do specific roles for them and it's not for our benefit. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm looking forward to um, more times of, like being more playful with art, and I do graphic design. I love graphic design, and I feel like even though there was ruptures in my family because of a divorce and then separating from my children for several years, um, family. Not family of origin because I had to break off from them, but my family, my husband and my children, grandchildren, that's like top in my life. um, and of course Jesus and having that relationship with God. Sorry about
So,
that. I had to shut my phone off.
oh, you're fine. You're fine. You can continue.
So yeah, I would like to share a little bit about uh, my abuse uh, from a perspective of this overcomer that I am. My husband and I celebrated 32 years of marriage August 7th. And I actually went back to the place where I originally was born in Dubuque, Iowa. And one of the things that I wouldn't recommend doing for survivors that are still in the, phase of, having flashbacks and nightmares and horrible memories and all that, I would not suggest that you go to the places where the rituals happened or to your childhood home until you get to a place where you know you're ready. But I did that. My husband and I went on a 2 hour lunch cruise on the river in Dubuque, and my abusers are dead, other than a chief of police and my ex husband. So I feel like I took back more of my life by actually being able to go back to where I was born. And first, I want to show you a picture of me as a little girl. I don't have very many pictures, but let me find my pictures and share screen. So here's a picture of me. Can everybody see that? Can you see that, Cindy?
Yeah, I see a black and white photo of you on the right-hand side.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of blurry, but this is kind of like a picture of a picture.
Yeah.
Uh, and so this is me when I was probably about 3 or 4, and I lived in Dubuque, Iowa, and I did go back to the home uh, where and I only have probably one handful of pictures. Um, and we were very poor, but um, I have a picture of when I was baptized, and I have this picture, which was I I'm the one of 10 siblings,
Wow.
and I'm number 6 down the line, and I think that one of the reasons I was targeted, uh, because I don't know really if my brothers and sisters were or not. I suspect they probably were involved, but my birthday was Friday the 13th, and it seems like they do pick, different special things about your life that I don't know what it means, but they did. But anyway, so I went back to my the home that I lived when I was that age. Let me see if I can bring that picture up. And this is right on Main Street in Dubuque. And this upstairs here is where we lived. And it's changed, it's different. But I felt so empowered by walking, up and taking this picture. I didn't feel any fear, which is very unusual, because it used to be that I would avoid everything and anything, that had to do with where I grew up and everything. But um, I do remember like some things, like the abuse was all blocked out, but when I did start to connect with my abuse memories, one of the things that I did remember was my dad sexually abusing me, um, and then like not these steps that you can see out on the outside, but there was an upstairs up here, and then there was a bedroom up there, and my mom found him with me and threw me down the steps because she was blaming me. And so that was very painful connecting this with those memories. But I loved being able to go there and not feel any of that fear or any of the other stuff, surrounding that. So, and then I went to the school and the church that I used to go to. And this is Holy Trinity Church in Dubuque, Iowa. And I went there, and not only did I go there, but I walked up the steps, and the church was locked. But I felt like I was proving to that little girl in me, who's grown up now, but I was proving to her that I'm an adult and these people can't hurt me anymore. For one thing, they're dead. But it's like I did feel a lot of heart, racing, and like just breathing a little harder. But the more I just stuck with it, and it wasn't overwhelming or anything, but the more I stuck with it, I just felt like, wow, they can't hurt me anymore. And, all the programming and stuff they did to try to make me believe that, just all the things that they do, with all of that, it's like, wow, I really broke free. And so the school is actually tore down. Let me see if I can find the picture. And
Is
I took,
Holy Trinity, I'm sorry, is Holy Trinity a Catholic church or what?
yes, it
Okay.
is. It is a Catholic church.
Okay.
And so I wanted to show you this too, because here's the side of the church building. You saw the front of it, but where this door is right here, that actually led to where the priest and would abuse me.
Mm,
And so I actually walked up those steps and I tried to open that door and I was going to go in there. It was just like, I didn't care, if they told me to leave or whatever, if there was somebody there, I would have just said, "Oh, I just was stopping by," you know, and I would have left. But I really felt like I took back my power because um, that priest and the nun from that church and school, they were the one of my many abusers. And somewhere I have a picture. Oh, here it is. Here, oh, that's the home I went to after that. I have a picture of, and I thought I put it with these. Okay, so until I can find that one, this is a picture of where the front steps of the church is. There's this thing here that says Terrence Hall. Now, Relentless Hope, we don't, with these podcasts, we don't recommend ever saying our abusers' names, but because my abusers are dead, um, and I feel okay with saying it, but Father Terrence and Sister Mary Emily were the priest and the nun that abused me. But see right here, you can see Terrence Hall, and I think it was named after him. Um, so what was so neat is that I feel like I already knew. I believed all my parts, but I feel like now I have some evidence because I went back there and I could really see. So here's where the school was, Holy Trinity School, and it's tore down. And but you can see it was 1929 when they built the school, and I was there probably. Let's see, I was born in 1957, like probably around 1962, I started going to school there. Um, and so that school's tore down, but that part of that school wall is still there.
Mhm.
And so while I'm showing you pictures, I wanted to show you once I moved from Dubuque when I was probably about 8 years old, I moved to a town called Earlville, Iowa. And this is the home I lived in. Look how little it is. There was my mom and dad had 10 kids. And so it was crazy, like trying to have that there was only two bedrooms as far as other than my mom and dad's. So the boys had a bedroom and the girls had a bedroom and we all just had to bunk up. So that was um, so the other thing I do want to show you is when I was in the Catholic school, Holy Trinity, and church, I was taken along with other children, not all of them, or they would it would have been very suspect, to that we were bused with a program, the GATE program, Gifted and Talented Educational Program. But the building's tore down now, but on the corner of West 12th Street and Main Street, um, now it's a parking lot. You can see it says leased parking. There was a free medical clinic, and we were bused to the back of that clinic, that free clinic, and that's where the mind control project was done to me, and where there was lots of torture. And I would not call it medical experimenting because they're not doing anything that's beneficial medically. It's more like terrorist, torturous. Um, Hopefully, that's not too triggery for people. But it was not anything beneficial for me. But I felt so empowered by, even though the buildings tore down, I went there, I took pictures, and I felt no fear. And then the chief of police, okay, so I moved from Earlville, Iowa to Manchester, Iowa. And before I left that area in the night, like around 1990, um, I had been taken to the police station and things had been done to me to reaccess me and reprogram me. And in that process, I ended up having to, and I didn't consciously know this, but I ended up having to trade my life for my future husband, Frank's life, so that I would not remember, I would not tell. And if I ever did tell or remember, not only would I be framed for my dad's murder, which he was murdered in 1984, allegedly, um, that I would also be, that Frank would be killed, and that I would be framed for my dad's murder and for Frank's murder. So, anyway, I broke all that. God helped me to break all of that conditioning and all that programming. But I literally walked into this police station in Manchester, Iowa, and I said, I used to live in this area. Like you can push the little buzzer to talk to the person behind the window. And I said, used to live here. I'm visiting. I just wanted to see if the chief of police was there. I wanted to say hi to him. And she's like, well, he's gone for the weekend already. And this was on a Friday. And I said, oh, okay. And then I asked, and I won't say the name, but I asked if that uh, person was still chief of police. And they said no. But anyway, I was ready to face him. I was ready to say, I know what you did to me. I would have. I would have said what I just am saying to you. But so I really felt like I took a lot of my life back that day, and I reclaimed that little girl in me. I did want to.
What year?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
oh, go ahead.
What year was it when you were being abused by the chief of police?
Uh, I when I left that area, it was like around 1990.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, because I had moved from Dubuque, Iowa. I um I found out with my memories that um even if you move away, there's so many networked cultic criminal groupings and churches, different places that are just all connected.
Mhm.
And, it's just like, even though we moved, and I know my dad was trying to get us away, um, but it's like just from one church to another church. Um, I don't have memories of being abused by the priest or anyone in the next church I went to, but that family multi-generational stuff just kept going.
Yeah.
I did want to show some evidence that I found in my body of things happening. Let's see. First, I'll show you. This is my X-ray of my back. I've had to have surgeries in the lower back. I have severe scoliosis and a lot of damage that was done to my back. Even though I had the two laser spine surgeries, it only helped for about a year. And then I didn't want to continue to, have surgeries. So I've just lived with the effects. But the other thing that I found um, in 2019, I was going to have sinus surgery. So I went to an ear, nose, and throat, a different one, to get a second opinion. And she did a CT scan and she found this CT scan very disturbing. And so I already knew because I had memories, and this might be challenging to hear. Um, in that well, it wasn't a medical clinic, but behind that medical clinic where the project was done to me with the mind control, um, I actually remembered having my skull drilled into, and these scientists that were, let's see, there was like 1,600 German Nazi scientists that were allowed to come over to the United States through Project Paperclip. And so I was a direct recipient of their evil, monstrous stuff. So they did a lot of drilling into my brain. Um, I didn't understand what that was all about, but after getting this X-ray or the CT scan, the ear, nose, and throat specialist, she said, I'm concerned that you might need to get like a neurological workup because unless you've had severe trauma to your brain and your skull, um, I'm concerned that there's something neurologically wrong. And so when I told her that I had had severe trauma to my brain, which I had a lot of things done to me, then she backed off from, like encouraging me to see anyone. But when I just recently, last month, I sent for these CT scans, and I looked at what it said. And so what you can see here is um, extensive calcification along the anterior falx. And it's a condition called hyperostosis frontalis, HFI. And I did a little research into it, and I found that that's an excess bone growth with multiple nodules, mostly on the inner table of the frontal bone. It's a very rare condition that's not usually found. But survivors like me who have had this type of medical procedures, it's not even medical procedures.
Wow.
I don't even like to say that word because that's not even accurately um, depicting it at all. But unless it's severe enough to cause like significant headaches or compression of the meninges that can that can lead to other things, most of the time this just goes undetected. So what these monsters were doing was they were attacking my frontal lobe, and they were doing brain injury and harm on purpose. And they targeted the Broca's area and the premotor cortex. So the prefrontal cortex is associated with cognition and memory. And these people were causing damage to my brain to change the way that my mind worked. And they were rewiring my brain. In doing that, they were separating the left and the right hemispheres of the brain so that, and I prayed about this this past several months, asking God, well, what were they doing? And he was letting God let me know that our right brain is directly connected to our God-given gifts and talents. And when they can disconnect us from that part of our brain, uh, then we're only in our left brain, which then these people could control what I thought and the parts of me, you know, that were split off on purpose and programmed. It's not like we're multiple people, but there's multiple parts and sections in our mind where then they have complete control. And then they can, like I was used for child pornography, I was used for um, sex trafficking. Some people are used as spies. Some people are used as assassins. Thankfully, that wasn't two of the things that were done to me, but um, these things are done on purpose. Um, and the whole goal then was to disconnect me from my emotions, from my thinking, my own thinking, from my beliefs, because that's really connected with the right brain in our emotion center, and to disconnect me from my body, to disconnect me from my soul and my free will. Somehow that's involved there too. But I feel like, okay, that's enough of that.
Oh my goodness, Sherry. I mean, do you think God protected you? Because they could have killed you doing these experiments, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really believe God protected me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's unfortunate that some children don't make it,
Yeah. And
you
I'm
know.
sure you saw plenty of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I know that's been some heavier stuff. So to all the survivors and everyone out there listening, the saving grace in all of this is that God does protect us by allowing us to go away, and that the gift of dissociation is a gift. It's not a disorder.
Hmm.
It's a beautiful gift, and God protects us while we're going through it from all the because in disconnecting, it does protect us from the enormous, unbearable stuff that is involved in all of that. So then when we start to connect to our emotions and our mind and our body and our giftings and the incredible body that God created us with and mind, um, He heals and reconnects. He's the one that heals. He's the one that helps us to reconnect with our true self. It's, I'm never going to be the way I was, when God first created me. Um, I do have, I don't think of it as disabilities though. It's like maybe a little bit like the thorn in the flesh, that never really truly is taken away, but it's also a way that I can, have compassion for others and for myself.
So the the abuse started at home first. I mean, how old were you when this all began?
I think it was in utero,
Okay,
in
yeah.
in the womb,
Hmm.
because my mother was a victim and so was my father. And, then I have memories of, like 2 years old, my dad sexually abusing me, and then my mom abusing me, and her abuse was different. It was, uh, the stuff that's passed down, that she wouldn't even know she's doing, not to excuse in any way what was done to me, but she was doing like these bizarre rituals. And if people want to know more about that, you can find my uh, on Emma Catherine's podcast, Imagination Podcast. There's a 3 hour uh, podcast where I share a lot of that stuff, and also on my YouTube channel, I have several videos where I share all of that. And on Jason and Alexia, We Are the People podcast. Um,
So do you think your mom was dissociated while she was abusing you? Do you think she was fully aware of what she was doing?
I really think she was so disconnected from herself
Hmm.
because after she would do things to me, she would become like this little girl. And she
Hmm.
she was acting like I was doing things to her and that I had to be there for her and give her comfort. And it was just so, as I was remembering stuff, it was so confusing and so like the lines between the two of us were so blurred that but um I know that I don't know 100%, but I doubt that she ever got free. Um, and my dad tried. He started to get. Um, he had depression and anxiety, and he went to get help at that free clinic in the part of the clinic that was actually a medical facility. And he got on antidepressants, and he went to a psychiatrist. He went to support groups even, and um, he was trying to get out. He didn't know what he was in. I really don't think.
When you came to your parents and you confronted them about their abuse, did they deny it? Did what was their reaction?
I didn't remember any abuse until after my dad was allegedly murdered, and
Okay.
then it's like then I started to my emotions started to thaw out, and
Hmm.
I started to connect with that, and I just couldn't stop crying. And then I started to, just have some memories of some physical abuse that had happened with him. And then I connected with that. And then I did share with my mom that I wanted to talk about the time that my dad beat me. And she was there, and she couldn't stop him either. And she just denied that it happened. She was like, oh, that didn't happen. And she went from total denial to then saying, "Well, it wasn't that bad. You didn't have to go to the hospital." And I'm like, "Yeah, I should have."
Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
she didn't take me there, but that she was justifying it or minimizing it. And
Hmm.
then she's like, "Well, we had to find a way to control you." Um, and as if it's okay. And the one time I was trying to tell her about it over the phone because I was in therapy and remembering some things. She says it doesn't matter what happens to your body as long as they don't hurt your soul. And it
Hmm.
was like such a horrible thing, no validation whatsoever. And, I was told by brothers and sisters, that I was destroying the honor of my dad's memory, because he had passed away by, remembering anything or sharing any of the physical abuse. And I disconnected from my family. I went through a divorce, lost my custody of my children for 2 years, my 3 children, got them back, moved away. I moved away because I felt like I didn't have anything there to stay for, and I ended up getting married to Frank, the husband that I've had for 32 years. Um, he's been my biggest support person and the person that I believe God put in my life so that I could have someone show me love
Mhm.
and real love. Not,
Yeah.
I was just thanking him the other day. Not once has he ever asked me for sex or pressured me, or he even asked me if he could hold my hand or if he could give me a kiss. But we were friends first before we ever got married. And I can honestly say that he's the reason that God used so that I could then accept God, God's love and the love of Jesus.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's how
Hmm.
I feel about my current husband, Goel.
Yeah.
I mean, he helped heal me from my past traumas and mistreatments. And so, yeah, God
Yeah.
puts people in your life to help you heal. I am
He,
so grateful.
I'm grateful for you too to have that because that's what heals is, God's love, but
Mhm.
he made us for connection with
Mm,
him and with
yes.
others. And that love that we get, that we give to each other, it's incredibly healing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And connecting with ourself is really the one of the hardest things to do because it's like we don't want to know what happened to us or connect with the pain of it all. But it's a necessary thing to be able
Yeah.
to have healing.
Yeah. Well, you have to feel and process those emotions, because that gets you on the other side, correct? I mean, would you
Yeah.
agree with that or okay. Yeah. Is your mom still alive?
No, I don't remember how many years ago. Maybe about 10 years ago, she passed away.
Mhm.
I hadn't had any contact with her or my brothers and sisters for like 30 years. And she was a smoker. Doctors had told her, she had emphysema and she got lung cancer and then she got brain cancer. And
Yeah.
was able to forgive her and to forgive my dad.
Mhm.
Um, it didn't excuse what they did, but it 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 healed me,
Mhm.
because if we carry that unforgiveness in our heart, it kind of destroys us.
It does. Absolutely. I've been there. I've harbored unforgiveness against my father, and it was only hurting me. And even though I didn't feel he deserved forgiveness, I willed it. I told myself, I choose to forgive because you're never going to feel like forgiving.
No.
But it's an active choice, and you get set free of so many bondages from that. And I know a lot of survivors are like, I can never forgive my abusers. And you might feel that way, and you have every right to feel that way.
Yes.
But eventually, if you want to be free, you have to will yourself and offer that forgiveness because that's healing for you. That's going to help you let go. And it doesn't change what they did. It doesn't make what they did okay. That's not what it's about. I know a lot of survivors struggle with forgiveness because that's what they were told by church leaders. They're like, just forgive and move on with your life, and that is cruel. That
Yeah.
is, but the truth of that is that forgiveness does heal. It has to be on your terms, but if you can't muster it up, you can actively speak it out loud. God hears you and he will honor that. And so thank you for saying that, that you have forgiven your parents, because that's huge. It's huge.
And the way this abuse is, it's like we're supposed to be other focused always, not
Mhm.
at all look within or, like having our own thoughts or emotions or anything. So those abusers cause us to feel sorry for them. I
Mhm.
even had abusers telling me that if they didn't do what they were doing to me, they would be killed. Or,
Yeah.
like where I'm supposed to feel bad for them. And so then it's like, oh, also like um, in that research lab that really wasn't research, I was told that they were finding a cure for cancer. And so they they take the compassion that we have for others and cause us to give it to others instead of ourselves. And
Mm.
so then it's like, oh, it's okay what you're doing to me because it's going to help all these children, with the research of cancer. So to be able to forgive, there was such a process of having to connect with me first. Okay, what happened to me? And care about me for once. And it seems selfish. It seems like, oh boy, I had to hit up against the church lady part in me that was like, you're supposed to forgive, you're supposed to like love. And it's like, yeah, but not instead of myself. Just like there's a Bible verse to love your neighbor as you love yourself. I loved others instead of myself at all. And so the forgiveness part, as I connected with the parts of me who knew what happened to me and could then be aware of that and connect with those parts of me so that I could have compassion for myself first, then it was like that too. Like, then it's like, oh, I can feel badly for the what happened to me. And then I was able to look at, oh my gosh, my dad was a victim. My mom was a victim. It didn't excuse anything at all about what they did, but I was able to see them through God's eyes of like, oh my gosh, when my dad was little, this happened to him. Oh my gosh, when my mom was little, this is what happened to him. And it's so programmed in us that we're supposed to pass this down
Mhm.
because the belief that was put in me is that all my ancestors who had gone before me and the generations to come would die if we didn't do this. And the crazy thing is that my great grandparents had already died. But the thinking is not mine, but the conditioning said that somehow if we did all these things, we would live forever. And it's so
Mhm.
crazy and messed up. The programming is that we can forgive when we get to the little parts of us that were hurt. And we can't put that process in front of, like we can't go to forgiveness first. We have to be able to do the work in here
Mhm.
and process that and even forgive ourselves because I was made to do, and other survivors are too, things to cause us to believe that we're no different than the evil people that were doing this to us, harming others, being forced to. And then the belief then is that, oh, if you break free or if you tell about this, we're going to let people know what you've done.
Mhm.
And it's not by choice,
Yeah.
but we are created, well, we are made by them to become perpetrators.
Mm.
And
That's,
and it's a
yeah.
horrible thing that they do.
So they basically blackmail you.
Yes.
If you don't follow what we're doing and do as we do, then we're going to tell on you and we're going to call you a perpetrator as well. But
Yeah.
you're different. You didn't go on to perpetrate.
Right.
What made you different from your parents? Why were you able to break free and not become a perpetrator yourself?
I think that the the only explanation is that God made a way that I could escape.
Mm.
I think mostly because he already knew what he was going to have me do and
Yeah.
what I have been doing. And so, not that other people, I don't want to dismiss the the protection that other people get either. Like the whole thing of like why God, like does certain things for certain people and why it seems like God doesn't do things for other people type thing. Um, I'll let God sort all that out, but I do know this. When he knows that what his plans are for us, and he's the one that knows, they're for our good and not for evil. But some people are, I think they're just too overcome and they don't have the resources maybe, and they don't have something in here uh, that I had. And
Mhm.
I know that there was a part of me that held on to hope, even though I wasn't aware of it. The only explanation is that it was Jesus. Um, and I did do perpetration. I did do harm to others as a child, as a teen. And I'm being very careful here because God has revealed something to me even just this, like last month. And I'm protecting my adult children here. Um, but I can say this, when I left that area, I wasn't able to protect my children from their biological dad. So this did pass down, unfortunately. And so God helped me to get away, and all of my adult children, are living on their own, and they have the same God that I have. They have the same opportunities that I have been given. They see me, role modeling freedom. And even though this was passed down in some ways that I couldn't protect them from, I feel incredible freedom because God has shown me that he can make a way for anyone, and they just have to do their part, which isn't like a heavy thing on them because God makes it easier.
Mhm.
Um, I want to make that clear. It's not like it's not like the responsibility is on every single survivor because God is the one that makes the way and Jesus is the way. And I want to share something that's so incredibly amazing. Um, there's a Japanese art called kintsugi, and they take broken pottery and first of all, I want to say what kintsugi means. Kin means golden, and suji, Tsugi, means joinery. And so I believe that all of us, God contains everything about us that he created into like this vessel of like pottery. And everything that was damaged, feels broken, um, God makes a way for each of us if we look to him to have those pieces where it's like he's like the kin, the kinsman redeemer. And
Mhm.
so the kin, it's like his gold, his healing is for each of us. And so the Japanese take these broken pieces of pottery and they glue them together, but then they put this golden um, powder on those cracks and the places that were broken. And that's what Jesus did in my life. He joined those places together. And I've had years of therapy, but I've also had um, like Andrea from Four Corners Free Ministry and my prayer minister, she's her name's Liv. For a year now, I've had what I would call this kintsugi. And it, it's like I'm never going to be like that piece of pottery that God created in the first place. But He's joined me so that the cracks and the places that were broken that I could never make sense out of and ever be who God created me to be in the first place. But it's like all of those cracks and damaged places and pieces of me that I thought were just a mess. It's like God joined them together differently. And it's like His light shines through each of those cracks. And it's like then He gave that back to me and he handed it to me, helped me to reclaim my emotions and my mind and my body and my uh, he's helping me to reclaim my sexuality and uh, financially I was devastated with the trafficking and like in one of my prayer ministry sessions over the past couple months especially Jesus literally took and it's like I saw him doing this in my mind the places in my heart that had been tied so deeply to my worth and my value as if the trafficking was like the money that was paid and just all the stuff with that as if that determined my worth. Well, Jesus in one of my sessions I literally saw him and felt him taking this like gold material and that's why I think of this as like that kintsugi a piece of like gold material that was from heaven, placed it around my heart, and he was stitching it, like kind of like spiritual surgery. And he told me I was priceless and that I had such value and worth that came from heaven's DNA, not from anything tied to what was done to me on this earth. And it's been beautiful and amazing what he has done. And the same types of things that he's doing for each of the survivors, it's coming from him. That healing is coming from him, whether they are able to acknowledge him or not. He knows them. And I truly believe that the blood, just like there's a Bible verse in Genesis when Cain killed his brother Abel, Genesis 4:10, uh, God speaks to Cain and he says, "What have you done?" God already knew what he did. And he said, God said this, the voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. I think that every child that was sacrificed in ritual abuse, their blood cried out to the Lord. And I
Oh,
believe that every survivor, sometimes the only thing we can do is cry from our heart because our voice is taken away and our emotions are disconnected. And when we do find our tears, our whole self is already known by God. But when we are able to cry those tears, even if we can't form prayers, and even though the concept of a loving God and what Jesus really is about has been distorted and destroyed to the extent that you feel like you don't have any hope. God knows every single thing that has happened to each one of the people that He has created in this horrific holocaust of ritual abuse and trafficking and mind control. And it's like He, it's just like our bodies cry out. My body was even crying. I know I, d- I I don't even know how to describe it, but God helped me to take like some massage, which I couldn't afford, but He said to do it, and He provided the money, and I was able to like start to connect with my body and you know claim my body back. But our body does keep the score, but so does God. And
yeah,
he never wanted any of these things to happen to
no,
any of us.
yeah. That's interesting you said that because I just had a survivor contact me yesterday and say, why did God allow this to happen to me? And I told him the best way that I could because only God can give you that answer, and you might not find out the answer until you get to heaven to ask him. But for the most part, we live in this fallen world. It's um, it's very much dominated by Satan and his demons. And God gave every one of us free will, and that was a gift. So we wouldn't be all robots doing whatever he wanted us to do. He wanted to allow us to live free. And unfortunately, evil men do bad things, and they do bad things to children. And that was allowed to happen. But God can turn that around. The Bible says, what Satan meant for your harm, he will turn it around for your good. So once you get freedom, he will work with you, and he'll take exactly what Sherry was saying. He's going to take up the broken pieces of your heart and mind and soul, and he's going to create this beautiful, unique mosaic picture or a sculpture, and it's going to be even more beautiful than the original. And he wants to be able to not only bless you, but bless other survivors through you. And so every person, every survivor has a purpose to be here.
Mm,
I'm so sorry what happened to you. God never meant it to happen to you, but He
right.
wants you to trust Him to bring you to a place of healing and redemption and restoration. And Sherry is a perfect example of that. And if I could lift anybody up to you as an example of a survivor who has overcome, who has gotten healing, she is the person. And that's why I just adore her. So, um, thank you so much, Sherry. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, a couple things, well, three things, if there's time.
Yes.
Um, I did ask God why, because when I learned about his love and protection and why didn't I get that? I
Mhm.
felt like, why?
Yeah.
He said to me, um, he said, I don't force people to do things and I don't force people to not do things. So he doesn't stop people from doing evil things. But he said, if I did, I would be no different than the controlling and evil that was done to you,
Mhm.
because he does not circumvent our free will.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that because this was a podcast that is the launch of Relentless Hope's podcast, and for Skylar and Rebecca, I have a song that I wrote that I would like to share. And if there's time, I have a short little video. Uh, Recently, there was some Delta flights that they had to land, and they made sure that they landed, and they did all this care for these people that were in the air for a little while, and had this awful thing happen. And so God helped me to see something that is his heart for all of us. And I'll just let the video do the talking so I don't have to explain it all. So I'll find the video. Um, it's in my folder. Okay. When I share this, I got to make sure I share the sound so people will be able to hear it. Share sound. Okay. I'm going to have to go out and find it and then bring that up. Okay. Now, when I share screen, I will be ready. God help me to put a parallel together between us and people being hijacked by terrorists.
This week, headlines captured our attention. 25 people hospitalized after severe turbulence forced a commercial flight to make an emergency landing. Within hours, medical teams mobilized. Emergency responders rushed to their aid. The airline's care team provided immediate support. Every passenger received acknowledgement, medical evaluation, and assistance. But what happens when the hijacking isn't happening 30,000 feet in the sky? What happens when the victims aren't adults on a plane, but children whose minds are being systematically seized, controlled, and terrorized? Right now, as you watch this, children are experiencing a different kind of hijacking, not for hours but for years. Not on an aircraft but in their own minds, through ritual abuse, medical experimentation, and systematic psychological programming. Terrorists of the mind are seizing developing consciousness. These hijackings happen in homes, schools, churches, camps, and medical facilities. The perpetrators may even be family members, trusted authority figures, or respected community leaders. When an aircraft is hijacked, the world responds. Federal agencies mobilize, medical teams stand ready. Victims receive immediate care, ongoing support, and legal recognition of their trauma. But when a child's mind is hijacked through systematic abuse and programming, silence follows. No emergency response teams. The aircraft passengers endure hours of terror before rescue. These children endure decades, often entire lifetimes, with their consciousness under the control of their captors. This terrorism of the mind traces back to Operation Paperclip, when our government brought Nazi scientists to American soil. Their expertise in human experimentation found new laboratories, new subjects, new horrors dressed in the language of research and national security. What began as documented adult experiments evolved into mass systematic targeting of children, whose developing minds proved more malleable to fracturing and control. Survivors carry the evidence in their bodies and minds: surgical scars without medical records, trauma responses to medical environments, fragmented memories of procedures that served no healing purpose, dissociative episodes, programmed responses to specific triggers, fractured identities struggling to integrate. Consider the scope. A hijacked aircraft affects hundreds of passengers for hours. A hijacked child affects generations, their own stolen potential, their relationships destroyed by programmed responses, their children who inherit the trauma. Federal law recognizes aircraft piracy under Title 49 U.S.C. Section 46502. Where is the federal code for the programmer who fragments a child's identity? Where is the statute recognizing medical experimentation on children as terrorism of the mind? Where is the compensation for survivors whose entire lives were hijacked? What makes these crimes particularly insidious is their systematic invisibility and institutional protection. The networks strategically placed operatives in positions of power, law enforcement officers who redirect investigations, judges who dismiss cases, mental health professionals who reprogram rather than heal survivors. Today, survivors persist in speaking their truth, each voice adding to a chorus that cannot be indefinitely ignored. They are archaeologists of their own consciousness, carefully excavating authentic selfhood from beneath layers of imposed programming. They are warriors who fought battles no child should ever face and survived conflicts that would destroy most adults. We demand recognition that mind controllers are terrorists. We demand federal codes that name their crimes. We demand prosecution that matches their devastation. We demand compensation for lifetimes stolen, identities shattered, and consciousness hijacked. The solution requires acknowledgement from our government that these crimes exist and continue. Federal recognition of ritual abuse and mind control as forms of terrorism, comprehensive prosecution codes that match the scope of these crimes, compensation programs that recognize the lifelong impact of psychological hijacking. Every child deserves to grow up with their mind intact, their choices their own, their future uncontrolled by the twisted visions of those who would exploit them. The aircraft passengers received immediate help because their hijacking was visible, acknowledged, and addressed. These children deserve nothing less. Until every captive mind is free to chart its own horizon, we will not be silent.
That's an excellent summary of exactly what is happening. And unfortunately, the people in power are the perpetrators now. And they go to the very top. And so they can shut down cases. They can not pass laws. We've tried. They can also make decisions to add new laws that protect perpetrators. They're putting judges in positions so that they can sway the courts in the favor of the predator and not the survivor. When they say criminal justice, they mean exactly that. It's the criminal who gets the justice. It's not the survivor. But I feel as more and more survivors come forward and speak their stories, it's going to be scary at first, but once you get started and you do it over and over again, you'll get more comfortable with the idea. Um, we need survivors to step up and
Yes.
speak out. We have tried to push legislation here in Utah. We have also tried to get prosecutors to take cases. They won't because they're either part of the system. But the other issue that we need survivors to help on is survivors are afraid to come forward and speak up. We had a case here that was a slam dunk, but the survivors were too scared to come and speak. And so we certainly understand that, but we also want to encourage you that your voice is so powerful and that we can overcome this and make this more, make people more aware. The problem we're having now is that when I tell people what we're doing, they don't want to believe it. They look at me like I have three heads, and they even maybe physically step back a bit. And they don't want to believe their perfect little world is not as perfect as they thought it was. And we got to switch that. We got to change it up. And as we become more vocal about this, and as we do more rallies, and as we do more podcasts, and as we have survivors write their representatives, even though I know a lot of representatives are in on this, you will eventually get to somebody that wants to do something to help. I started this 7 years ago because I couldn't believe what I was here. I mean, let's put it this way. I believed what I was being told, but what I couldn't believe is that nobody was doing anything about this. I was having the hardest
Yeah.
time knowing that police want to shut these cases down and they don't want to help. I had a hard time with why aren't the judges doing something? Why is the legislation not doing something? And that's because a lot of them are a part of it. And we got to call these people out. There are multiple politicians in power right now in Utah who are in on child trafficking and ritual abuse. I'm not going to name their names for the sake of protecting us legally, but high up politicians in this state, it has been reported to me, are involved and were involved in various clients of ours ritual abuse and trafficking. It's a huge money maker. And part of the thing we need to do is to hit the perpetrators in the pocketbooks hard, which means we need survivors to come forward and join these class action lawsuits, or what they really call them are group litigation lawsuits. That's the technical term. And if you come forward, I said this on Emma Catherine's Imagination podcast as well. You can be anonymous. You don't have to go and testify in front of your perpetrator or even a court or jury. You can be identified anonymously, and that your story will make a difference in causing these lawsuits to be passed, uh, or how's it litigated so that a judge will find the perpetrator guilty, and then they will either have to pay a ton of money, like what they just did in California. They have sued for $32 billion and they have succeeded against the LDS Church. So it happened because survivors came forward. They found the
Yes.
strength to come forward. And when you're with other survivors together for the same goal, you're going to find the strength and the courage to come forward. And so Sharri's doing her part by going out and doing all these podcasts and telling us what happened and who was involved and where it happened. And I want people to understand this. If you've heard this word, now you know You can't unsee this. You can't unhear it. You need to do something. And by golly, if you're a Christian, you need to pray for these survivors. You need to pray for their health, their healing. You need to pray for their provision, their strength. They need you in this fight to keep going forward with this. We have too many suicides in the state of Utah. I think that is direct connection to the ritual abuse that's going on here. We have a lot of other problems in this state that's indicating there are huge problems in this state. And it has a lot to do with what's going on in our churches. And I'm not bashing just the LDS church. This is happening across the country in all kinds of churches, Catholic, Baptist, Lutheran, Methodist, on it goes. And what people need to understand that this is done in secrecy. So the other church members they have no idea this is going on. There are good people in these churches, but they've been infiltrated by satanic entities and people who have just sold their souls out for this because it brings so much money, billions of dollars every year, hundreds of billions of dollars into the pockets of these perpetrators who then feel empowered and they have the money then to continue this. And we need to put a stop to it. So, Sharri, what else do you have for us?
Well, first of all, I want to say to the survivors, God is angry, but not at you. He is angry for all the multiple crimes that were done to you, and it's not your fault. And he is for you, not against you. And if our perpetrators would be charged, prosecuted for the crimes that they have done to us, they would spend multiple lifetimes in a federal prison, and just like that video you saw. And also, years ago, God had me start a nonprofit organization called Shout for Help that stood for Survivors Helping Others Unite Together. Now, that was shut down with the satanic panic and the false memory and stuff. But now the Lord of Heaven's armies is leading a movement, and I'm one of those people that he's leading. And has connected me with Relentless Hope and Cindy. And so Relentless Hope is in this perfect position right now with this podcasting for survivors, like Cindy said, to come forward, share your story, because the more us survivors talk and we unite together, we are the ones that are going to make people listen. And the perpetrators that did all this stuff to us, they're the ones that are going to be threatened by our voice, because that is where our power is. And we have God behind us, in front of us, leading the way. And so if it's anonymously, if you want your camera off the whole time, if you want to put, I have Sharri Burgraff on here and there's Relentless Hope on Cindy's. If you want to put anonymous, you can do that, but we want you, we encourage you to come on this podcast and to get scheduled. You can, I have an email set up for Relentless Hope. It's Sharri, SHARRI .relentless@gmail.com. And we can help you through that process to get you speaking out in whatever way you're comfortable with. And the other thing is that there's hope. God is greater than all of the darkness. Jesus has already won the victory. So we can stand in that victory because we're not coming from a helpless, defenseless place. And so by standing together and sharing our truth, that is, I know that God wants to have us reclaim the lives that he gave us in the first place. So I want to share that song that I wrote that is for all the Skylers and Rebeccas out there that are still caught in uh, all of this in ways that they may feel like there's never a way out. But there is, and I'm living proof of that. So we will end with that song, and it's called, let's see, Rescue Song, and it's for Skylar and Rebecca's, and all the Skylers and Rebecca's out there. Oh, sorry. There we go.
There's a child still treading water, eyes wide open in the deep dark. Her voice was stolen and silenced. Her soul bears every mark. She's floating in a war zone in the ocean, like a soul lost in the wreck. But heaven keeps on whispering, get those chains off from around her neck. And heaven keeps on whispering, can you hear her cry? She was never born to die. You who wear the sacred mantle with hearts that dare to see the depth of pain inside the one still yearning to be free. You weren't called to fix her story, just hold her trembling hand, to speak in tones of mercy till she learns to crawl and then stand. This is the rescue song for the skylers lost at sea, for the stolen silent stories still longing to be seen. Bring your gentle holy presence, lay your judgment at the shore. What they need is not perfection, it's your love and nothing more. You're the bridge that brings them peace, from the chaos to release. This is her rescue song. She won't speak in tidy phrases, she may not find words at all. Her truth won't come out pretty, but in her shattered stammerings lies everything unseen. So sit with her in silence, let your stillness be her light, until the shadows start to loosen and her soul recalls the fight. This healing takes a lifetime, 1,000 soft time years. Not force, not fixing, but your presence that outlasts all her fears. And when her eyes begin to shimmer with the knowing that she's safe, you'll see heaven in her story and the glory of her faith. This is the rescue song for the skylers yet to rise. Let your tenderness be louder than the torment in their eyes. Don't demand what they can offer, just be present, still and true, and watch a soul reborn because you simply stayed and knew. From the trauma to the dawn, this is her rescue
Wow, that's amazing. Sharri, you write
Thank you.
such beautiful songs. It's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. May I put this on our website?
Yeah, I can
Okay.
send you the link to
Okay,
it.
yeah, that'd be great because I want as many survivors to hear that. And like Sharri says, we're gonna wrap this up. I'm so thankful that you came on here and told us more about you told me things that I hadn't known, even though I've talked to you before. So this is great. And like Sharri said, we want you to reach out because we want you on our show. We do not censor. We don't have sponsors that we have to fear that might shut us down. This is your podcast, and we want to hear from you. So, Sharri, do you mind praying for us all?
I would love to. And before I do, I just quick want to say, Cindy, thank you for answering the call all these years to be like that relentless hope for survivors and to be that safe harbor and the resources that you offer. And I know Jesus is the only one that can rescue, but you are like that bridge that hands people to him and is a way to tell people the truth. So thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Uh, th- Thank you, Lord, for every survivor uh, that survived. You are the reason that they did. You protected them through it. We do ask for you to rescue them and to give them the hope, and you are the hope that you've given me and many others who have broken free. We do pray for their deliverance and freedom and that they would have much healing, like that kintsugi, that golden joinery. Help them to connect to themselves, give them the resources that they need. And thank you for Cindy and all of the people at Relentless Hope for the many things that they offer, support groups and resources and this podcast. And thank you that every time Cindy and Relentless Hope does a podcast, it's that survivors podcast.
Mm.
And it's their time to share whatever they feel comfortable with sharing and whatever it's their story. And in hopes that they can reclaim their own story and take their life back. We do dedicate each podcast to each survivor that comes forward to be able to share in whatever way they feel comfortable sharing and protect them, give them good sleep and rest and all the things that they need for the way that you created them to be, and help them to know that it's okay to have needs and that their emotions are God given and you created us to have emotions and help them to take their thoughts and lives and their entire selves back so that they can become more the people that you created them to be. Thank you for this time that I could share my story. And I do pray that your light shines through my story. And God, I give you all the glory. We thank you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy, and thank you, everyone.